evening, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me and all the members of the Chandigarh Literary Society to welcome you to this wonderful event which holds the promise of being a memorable one. I invite you to settle down, to steep yourselves in new ideas and sparkling interactions. Today's event has been curated by CLS in collaboration with Rupa Publications. I'd like to specially welcome the chairman of CLS, Dr. Sumita Mishra. I would like to also mention Mr. TVSN Prashad, Chief Secretary, Haryana. I would like to also specially welcome the authors, Mrs. Novel Lavasa and Mr. Ashok Lavasa, Ms. Jyoti Malhotra, Editor-in-Chief, The Tribune, and Ms. Richa Tiwari from Rupa Publications, who is also the editor of Echoes of Faith, the book of the day. And of course, I warmly welcome each one of you in the audience who has made time to be here today. Thank you very much. So I'm going to just start with a very brief introduction to the Chandigarh Literary Society. The Chandigarh Literary Society is a not-for-profit registered body formed to promote literature and creative writing in the North Indian region. CLS serves as a network of creative minds, nurturing talent and bringing together writers, publishers, intellectuals, students and scholars. It organizes local, regional, national and international level workshops, meetings, conferences, and interactive events and competitions. To start the program, I would like to invite Richa Tiwari from Rupa Publications. Richa is also the editor of Echoes of Faith, and she's going to speak a little bit about the book and introduce us to the publishing house.
Thank you. Very good evening to everyone. This is my first time. At the start of it, I'm going to say this. So if I fumble, just think of a very innocent child making a mistake on stage and let it go, please. Otherwise, I'll hear from it. So to begin with, firstly and foremostly, thank you so much, each and every one of you who is in the room here, to come to this event and support our book. On behalf of Rupa Publications, our Managing Director, Mr. Kapish Mehra, and my Executive Editor, Ms. Yamini Chaudhary, I welcome each and every one of you to what has come to be one of the most unique titles that we have published. I welcome all the dignitaries, and I sincerely thank Chandigarh Literary Society for hosting this event for us. Why I say unique is because my niche is, Rupa generally works with a lot of non-fiction titles. So our day is prematurely in between a lot of politics and foreign policy and sociology and a lot of serious issues that do need our attention, but it gets a little heavy to work with them at times. And then I would forever be grateful to my editor, who, when I was working with heavy files that needed a lot of factual editing and a lot of structure and a lot of planning, decided that I should be working on this particular book. God knows for what reason she decided, but I will forever be grateful to her for that. And then came along this particular book. My job as a development editor is foremost to understand the structure of the book. It is at the baseline of everything we do. There needs to be a flow, there needs to be a context to the book, there needs to be a proper flow of knowledge. And so our work is compartmentalized, and sometimes it gets a little tedious. And if my boss hears this, I will again get something, but it's just a fair review of it. And as a part of any of our book procedures, what I usually do, I set up a call with our authors. We try to discuss with them what exactly are they looking out for in the book. And so when I first went through it, I found that the manuscript was not anything like I've ever come across. And so I called up ma'am and Ashok sir, and I asked them that what exactly do you feel? How do you want to go ahead with this kind of a topic? And in one line, they made my job immensely easy. In one go, they just told me, Richa, there's not going to be any structure to this book. There is not going to be a defined way we want to tell this story. These are our collections, these are our memories, and this is the way we look at the world. And so the deal is going to be how we are able to convey what we think to the readers. Now, as an editor, the editor part of me took a little bit of a jump. It said, okay, I have to go back and tell it's going to be a big task. But as it happens, everybody has dual personalities, and so my second personality is that I'm a trained sociologist. And the sociologist in me was jumping inside, was thoroughly jumping inside. Because for me, it was raw data. It was absolutely raw data. Am I audible in general? I think I have a high-pitched voice, as well I've been told. So, the sociologist in me did take a jump because these stories are not just instances or experiences, but what holds these stories together is that they make up a brilliant oral history. Some of the chapters that, if you have come across the book, if you've read the book, and if you haven't, I will, with all my heart, suggest you that you do. Some of the stories are known, as you will see in the pictures. You travel from Yamunotri to Gangotri to you go to Nepal, and then you even go to likes of Malaysia and Japan. And then there is a section of stories that even I had never come across. There is a border Baba. There is a legend of Kabir inside a forest that you would not even realize. There was no connection to how he could be there. And so, with all of these stories, what came about and what was going to turn around was that this is going to be a fluid book. It is going to be a fluid book, and it will the reader can make whatever he or she wants to make out of this book. For me, it became a plethora of stories, a plethora of anthropological insights. On the other hand, when the book came out, it's my usual habit that when I get a book, whichever I've worked on, I give it to my parents. And my mother is a physics teacher. And for some reason, all the physicists in the world are some of the most dominant believers of what lies beyond, what the unseen, the power of the unseen. And so when she spoke, she said, Richa, I think now I understand why they named it God particle. Why we, from the beginnings of Isaac Newton or Albert Einstein, why everybody tends to believe that there's something more, because that gives you a feeling, a faith, that no matter what, no matter how weird the world can get sometimes, there's something out there which is always going to be more powerful than you are. And that gives you something that is way more important than I think any degree, any material, any sophisticated language can give you, which is perspective. So, Echoes of Faith is a story of perspectives. We came up with this title, Sir, Ma'am and I, and Yamini Ma'am, we shook our heads around it. And we came up with tales of explorations, nature and divinity. There's a reason to it. You can't understand the perspective. If you need the perspective of your soul, you need to explore. You need to step out of your four boundaries, you need to step out of your four walls and look just how big the world is to understand you really are a tiny little person. And so whatever you make of it, whatever you can do of it, is going to matter at the end of the day. If you want to understand climate and environment and all the hoo-ha about saving it, you need to interact with nature. You need to understand that it's way more powerful. The wrath of a flowing river can make you feel that you have actually not dealt with a lot of things. And lastly, which is the most important part of the book, divinity. It is about how you interact with the one idea that you can't see. So I hope with this talk and with this book, each and every one of you, and more so, because the way the book has been receiving, are able to connect with what we have tried our level best to present to you in Echoes of Faith. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Richa. Very, very charming, Richa, I might add. So now I am announcing the launch of and the formal unveiling of Echoes of Faith. And to do so, to do the honors, I would like to invite on stage Mr. D.V.S. Prasad, Chief Secretary, Haryana, Mrs. Dr. Sumita Mishra, Mr. Ashok Lavasa, Novel Lavasa, the authors. I would like to invite Jyoti Malhotra, and I would like to invite Richa Tiwari on the stage to unveil the book. Photography, music, adventure sport, and reading. They have exhibited their photographs in various cities in India. Novel is now an organic farmer and environmentalist, while Ashok recently completed his tenure as Vice President at the Asian Development Bank. Before that, he served as the Election Commissioner of India and as a Union Finance Secretary. Ashok has also authored two books, An Ordinary Life Portrait of an Indian Generation and An Uncivil Servant, and contributed essays to several publications. And now I invite you to sit back and enjoy the PPT.
Good evening, everybody. I'm really happy to be speaking here in Chandigarh because this is where it all began. Thank you for joining us in our journey of self-exploration. This book is a major milestone in this journey of ours. In our hunger for adventure and our wanderlust, we discovered the path to be close to nature, to be one with humanity, and to be with oneself. In the process, we had glimpses of divinity. The making of this book has been an adventure in itself. It was almost ready in our computers in 2010, and just like all other adventures, it took its own time to see the light of day, and thanks to Rupa. This book is a compilation of our experiences as travelers and the stories of people, the tales that we heard during these travels. I'll share a few glimpses of the presentation, in this presentation. This is Amarnath. This is where it all began. I went to Amarnath from Chandigarh when I was posted here as the branch manager in Mattur. I think we all know where Mattur is, Chandigarh people, which is now, I think, sector 76 or something like that. Even though we had been trekking for a few years, it was my journey to Amarnath where I went as a traveler and adventure seeker and returned as a pilgrim. What struck me most was that this major center of human pilgrimage, Hindu pilgrimage, was discovered by a Muslim shepherd. To this day, almost all people who facilitate the yatra are non-Hindus. The porter who went with me before the final day when I was going to for the final darshan, he said to us, Baba ko mera salam dena. I was amazed to see people of all ages and names going with the same zeal to be at this wonder of nature and the enchanting place. There were, bacche, bode, jawan, with or without any means of clothing or shoes who were there, and there were Babas distributing gyan and ganja. Then, 24 years later, I had a chance to go for the Chadar trek. The Chadar trek is a trek on the frozen Zanskar. It was surprising to see the same formations in the Chadar trek as you can see the stalagmite and stalactites which are seen at Amarnath, the Shiv, Parvati and Ganeshji. And this is what I witnessed there. But what left me thinking was that this place, though being so similar, is not a place of worship. And this Zanskar is probably now you will not be able to see these views because there's a road being constructed along the Zanskar leading to Padam. While most of our journeys have been together, we have had our individual experiences too with Ashok and me. Ashok experienced similar feeling that I had at Amarnath, which he had at this Hemkund Sahib he visited. He was also moved by the faith of most of the people that visit these places. Churdhar is the highest peak in the Shivaliks, just 5-6 hours drive from Chandigarh. It was a particularly tough trek because one has to go from 6,500 feet to 9,500 feet without any resting place. The entire way is winding like a churi. But we were surprised to see almost thousands of people there because there are various approaches to that peak. These people were there to seek the blessings of Lord Shiva. But what stayed in my mind was this spectacle which I saw. Early in the morning, the sun rising on one side and the moon setting on the other. These two pictures are taken just 7 minutes apart. But of course, one had to get up early in the morning. One had to get up early in the morning to and leave the cozy sleeping bag to have this view. The dark, barren rocks came alive with color as the sun fell on them and the moon hid itself from us. This is Kedarnath. We were fortunate to visit Kedarnath before and after 2013. This picture is what it was in 2006. Behind the temple, as you can see that arrow, was the memorial of Shankaracharya, who was supposed to have travelled all the 4 dhams through the high altitude mountains. He was responsible for uniting the Hindus of the country in those days. In place of this monument, today, this is the Shankaracharya Memorial. And now in place of this stands a boulder, you can see the arrow there, which reportedly saved the temple from the destruction caused by the 2013 deluge. The boulder has now become sacred. Much above Kedarnath temple, after an arduous trek of a couple of hours, was this lake called Gandhi Sarovar. This is called Gandhi Sarovar because Gandhiji's ashes were, amongst other places, his ashes were also immersed here. One of the embankments of this lake had breached in 2013 and adding to nature's fury, which we all know about. This is Gomok, where we had gone when our children were 6 and 7 years old. This is the source of River Ganga, where drop by drop, the glacier becomes the lifeline of millions of people. It was thrilling to go to Gomok over the glacier and over the loose rock and ice, and cover the steep distance of about 5 kilometers to reach a fascinating meadow called Tapovan. More fascinating than the landscape was meeting this lady, Mataji, who had already lived there for 5-6 years, all 365 days of the year at 14,500 feet. We talk about her mysterious existence in the book. From here you can see the Shivling peaks on one side and Bhagirathi peaks on the other. Mataji said that the stream flowing from here is the real Gangaji. This is Spiti Valley. All monasteries have lamas who are male inmates and who are trained for life there. But here you find lady lamas being schooled for the future. They are called chomus. Their method of learning is through recitation and rhythmic dancing, in which I also got to participate. They reminded me of our residential girls' schools and all the fun that we had in our residential schools. We saw similar chomus of different ages in Padam Valley of Ladakh. Padam was really remote in those days. It took us 2 whole days to drive from Srinagar. Now, as I said, there's probably, the road has been completed along the Zanskar River, which leads to Padam Valley, and another road from Padam Valley connecting to Himachal. As Richa from Rupa Publications spoke about Kabir Gufa, we all know Bandhavgarh as a national park famous for its tigers. In our search for the big cat, what we found deep in the forest was Kabir Gufa, where Kabir is known to have spent many years of his life and where there is an annual Mela in memory of Kabir. All this and this moss-covered statue of Vishnu, about 1,000 years old, also lies deep in the forest of Bandha. In North Sikkim, bordering Tibet, is Guru Dongmar, where Guru Nanak Ji is supposed to have rested during his travels. When his disciples told him of their difficulties in getting water in winters, he granted them this boon that a part of the lake would never freeze. And here you can see part of the lake. Guru Nanak is also believed to be an incarnation of the Buddha, as believed by the locals there. Another thing we found in all our travels is the tradition that regards trees as sacred. This root bridge undoubtedly is the lifeline of the place in Meghalaya, stronger than any concrete or stone bridge that we have these days. This board, found in Parshuram temple, associates a god with each species of trees. Kalpavriksha in Joshimath, where Shankaracharya is supposed to have meditated, and Ashok also met an astrologer there. And one in Kutch, Gujarat, and the Bodhi tree we all know about. Near the source of the Kaveri is also an elephant rescue shelter where roped and destitute elephants are groomed for the Mysore Dashera festival. Here you can feed the elephants and bathe them too. While Ashok fed the elephants, I got a chance to scrub and bathe the elephant, and in return for this scrub, I got a shower of blessing. Such blessings have always come our way, one way or the other. There are many other interesting stories in the book, which we'll talk about shortly, and therefore I'll end now. Thank you very much.
That fascinating journey of it was really, really splendid. I would now invite Dr. Sumita Mishra, IAS Chairperson, CNS, poet, author, and a multifaceted, multi-talented lady, who has specially requested that I keep her introduction very brief. So this is like a really brief introduction coming your way. Dr. Sumita Mishra is a prominent poet in contemporary India. Author of 5 books, she has received the Best Poetry Collection Award in 2017 and the Award of Recognition in 2024 from the Chandigarh Sahitya Academy. Dr. Mishra is the Senior Administrator of the Indian Administrative Service and serves as Additional Chief Secretary in Haryana. She is also the founder and chairperson of Chandigarh Literary Society. And I have to end it here. My hands are tied. Here she comes.
Good evening, friends. A very, very warm welcome to Mr. Ashok Lavasa and Mrs. Novel Lavasa, whom I have always called Sir and Ma'am, but I'm addressing them formally right now. And this evening is, I think, very special on many, many counts. I have so many senior colleagues. I have the Chief Secretary, Government of Haryana, Mr. TVS Prasad and Ma'am Prasad also here with us specially. And a warm welcome to both. And so many senior colleagues are here. So many distinguished and eminent people from all walks of life of Chandigarh are here. And that itself makes this evening, CNS keeps doing events, but not every gathering I think is as distinguished or eminent as this one. So very warm welcome to all of you. The second reason why I think this evening is special is because I've known Sir and Ma'am now for at least I think 20 years. And way back in, I think it was 2008-9, sir. He was my boss also, so this is sort of way back, Thanksgiving on that. When I was Director General of Renewable Energy in the Government of Haryana, and he was the Secretary for Power and Renewable Energy. And at that time, renewable energy hadn't quite become the buzzword of all budding environmental conscious people. So we could, because of that, we could do all manner of things freely, and any innovation that one could think up, I think it was just between Sir and me, nobody else was interested in. We could pass all kinds of, I think, very happy innovations and initiatives in the state of Haryana, which helped us get a lot of awards also. But apart from that, I always found that Sir and Ma'am had this spirit of inquiry, adventure and empathy. Those are the three words that I would put together, and those are the three words I think that have led to this evening, to this book. And the third reason I think this evening is very special because we have Jyoti ji with us, and this is her prime time in the middle of elections in various states, and she's editor-in-chief of the Tribune, which is itself an icon and an institution in this city, and she will be in conversation with Mr. and Mrs. Lavasa, so welcome Jyoti ji. Coming to the book itself, there are books and there are books, and if you are part of a literary society, you are being, doing book launches or being part of book discussions for now. Well, CLS is now about 12 years old, so you can count the number of books. But I think this book is particularly special because, as I said, it reflects, it showcases, it encapsulates a journey of the authors. But it's not just a travelogue, it's far from that. It starts with their physical journeys, but at the same time it touches upon many layers and levels. That physical journey then touches upon the spiritual journeys that those physical journeys perhaps resulted in. And above all, I think it sort of highlights the interweaving of faith, of culture, of social practices and mores that are part of India. India, after all, we all know, is the birthplace of four major religions of the world today: Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism. So faith and a spiritual consciousness are something that I think are part of our DNA, and yet that faith resonates in so many different ways in local communities, and none is othered. Each is part of the macrocosm that is India. And I think that is something that this book weaves into its stories. And at the same time, it tells us that this is what underpins our human experience. And that is also a message of hope, of solace, of understanding. So I think this is a very unique book because it, as I said, it works on so many levels. It is obviously being written from the heart, as Richa highlighted to us. And a big congratulations to both of you, sir. And I hope everyone grabs a copy. That's part of a book launch. You should buy books and grabs a copy and read them too, and get them signed from the authors since they are with us today. And so once again, everyone, thank you for coming out here today. Thank you to the team at CLS, which always puts things together. Thank you, Radhika, for being our beautiful MC today. And I'm looking forward to the discussion that follows. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mishra. Thank you very much. And now there's like a fabulous segment coming up for you all. This is a conversation, and I expect that it's going to be a free-flowing, very scintillating conversation between Ms. Jyoti Malhotra and the authors. I invite all of you on stage, and while you are coming up, I'm going to introduce Ms. Jyoti Malhotra, who is the editor-in-chief of the Tribune, making her the first woman to lead the 143-year-old newspaper group. With 40 years of experience as a journalist, she has covered foreign policy, politics, and national and strategic affairs for some of the top publications of the country. Her extensive experience spans print, television, and digital media. She has hosted news shows on television, produced political travelogues in South Asia, and written columns for newspapers and magazines worldwide. Additionally, she has been a regular contributor to BBC Radio. I invite the authors on stage, and I'll leave the stage to you.
First of all, I'd like to thank Sumita Mishra from the Chandigarh Literary Society for inviting me to this. But before that, to thank you, Ashok and Naval, to meet you here in Chandigarh. It's very special for me. We last met at the India International Centre in Delhi, I think 4 months ago, which is how long I've been in Chandigarh. Yes, Sumita, you're absolutely right. This is a very important time for us in the newspaper, but I'm thrilled to be here because I think this is the first time I'm coming out and moderating an event like this. It was, it's familiar territory for me in Delhi, but this is the first time that I'm doing it here, and I'm so grateful that I'm part of this experience with both of you, with Naval and you, Ashok. Let me just say that Ashok Lavasa is, we all know that he's an IAS officer. Naval is a retired banker. And now we know from this book that they are both travelers. But all of you must know who Ashok Lavasa is. If you don't, may I have the pleasure of telling you that he's also a former election commissioner of India who spoke up when it counted. So, and that's why, as journalists, he will never tell us. See, the stories, we know where the stories came from. We know that he was a brave man and that he stood up when it mattered. And that's why I'm a journalist, because as journalists, we want to know what's happening behind the scenes. We want to know what's happening on the ground. And that's why we want all of you readers of the Tribune to tell us what's happening, not just in this city, but in our states, both in Haryana and Punjab and across the country. So I'd like you all, I know that you all read the newspaper, but I also want you to now to read our website and also watch our videos and our podcasts. And I'm sorry, this is a bit of a shameless sort of promotion of the Tribune, but it's worth it, right? I have a captive audience in front of me. Okay, to get back, Echoes of Faith. And I love what you said, Sumita, which is that this book is about, and both Ashok and Naval, it's about inquiry, adventure, and empathy. And this curiosity that has driven you both officers, and I see that you've been traveling for more than 20 years in search of this book. So the first question that comes to my mind is, why did you write the book? You have to answer.
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. First of all, this is truly Ghar Vapsi, because I spent a lot of pleasant years in Chandigarh. And actually this is a place where the spirit of adventure triggered in both of us. If not triggered, it flourished. And we owe this to a lot of people who might be in this room, who might not be in this room, who may not even be in this world, but they have contributed immensely to the rich experiences that we've had. And Jyoti, when you were talking about the Election Commission, I was looking at the emergency exit.
You're safe here, this is Chandigarh.
But to go back to your question about the book, I don't know what this book is about, but I can tell you what this book is not about. This book is not about religion. This book is not about travel. It's not a travel book, because travel books are written differently. They'll tell you how to reach a place, and so it is not a travel book. It's not even a coffee table book, because coffee table books again have a different kind of appeal. So what is this book about? I think it's just a very honest sharing of the feelings that we had while we went through all these experiences. And the closest that I can come to is what Wordsworth said about his recollections of daffodils. There is a concept in literature called spots of time. All of us have spots of time in our lives, in our memories. And these spots of time, they actually rejuvenate you whenever you think of those experiences, those moments. And what Wordsworth said about they flash upon the inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. But very interestingly, I don't know how many observe, I'm a student of literature, so I'm going to talk about this. He says, when in vacant or in pensive mood. What is pensive mean? It's not grief, it's not melancholy, it is a bit of everything. And I think in Urdu there is a word, अफसुर्दगी. उसमें दर्शन भी शामिल है, उसमें सोच भी शामिल है, उसमें याद भी शामिल है, उसमें लॉन्गिंग भी है, सब कुछ मिला हुआ है. And I think when you are looking for yourself, और जब आप अपने आप की खोज में अपने आप से बहुत दूर चले जाते हैं, तो that is what Pensive to my mind reflects. And these stories which we have narrated are a reflection of that, those moments that we have enjoyed and internalized. So that, in short, Jyoti, is how we look at what we have said.
Yes, absolutely. See, as you know, everyone has their own experience and own growth journey. So, for me, one is Chandigarh has given me this because the geographical location of Chandigarh, the friends that we made here who helped us in this journey, and I used to work 5.5 days a week, and we had friends who would. I would be working on Saturdays and the others weren't. So 1:30 in the afternoon, the car was waiting outside my office with the picnic basket and all the friends and the children. And every weekend we would spend out in the hills. And that's what developed this habit, I would say, and the realization in me that this is what I want to do in life, to be close to nature, to be bathing in rivers, to be bathing in waterfalls and just be under trees and sleep in the open and all that. And then, we used to go for car rallies.
Sleep in the open.
Yeah, like under the sky. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You've done that often.
Yeah, yeah. Often, yeah, sometimes, yes. And night trekking. In the full moon nights, we used to trek in the riverbeds here. And we used to, we really had a lot of fun. And that growth journey, and my sister and I, we used to go for car rallies. And after 2 times when I went for the car rally, I realized this is not what I want to do because this is burning of fossil fuel and you raise dust in the villages and all. It's not fair on the villagers and on Mother Earth. So that's how I took up trekking and rafting and natural sport. And then I started doing adventure camps for women because I felt that whatever I have gained from being close to nature, I should share it with my other women, and this is, I started doing these in 2007 and 8, so I couldn't make a business out of it, but I used to call it Beyond Potential. And then, as Sumita has said, that this has gone beyond that. It's gone beyond us because there's another, the spiritualism that one experiences through these journeys is something which each and everyone has to go through this journey. And we really wanted to share this story with everyone.
That's a lovely story. So let me ask you, one of the first stories in your book is that you write about is about this young boy from Pakistan who is Muslim, and he goes to the shrine in Mecca, the Kaaba, and there he's praying at Mecca, at the Kaaba, and he comes upon this realization that he needs help. And then he calls his mother and says कि आप जाके दाता गंज शखर की shrine पे जाके आप वहाँ दुआ मांगिए मेरे लिए. तो उसको कोई कहता है, and Ashok and Naval write about this in the book, is that you are at the holiest of holy shrines. Why are you calling your home, your mother, and asking her to pray for you? So what does this mean for you?
So this is actually a story which an oncologist from Pakistan, Dr. Harza Raza, she has narrated. And I was fascinated by this story that faith is something very strange. You need not have faith in something which everybody believes in. You might have faith in something very obscure. But what I realized and what we have realized throughout our journeys is that all these places, which might be well known, which might be lesser known, what gives these places the popularity and the power that they exercise over people's mind? It took me back to the earlier book which I wrote in 2021, which is called An Ordinary Life. So, An Ordinary Life was about ordinary people who are great. They may not be famous, but we all have people who are very, very ordinary in our circle, but they have attributes of greatness in them. They have the ability to influence your character, your behavior, etc. And they actually cast a spell on people who come in their circle of
So give
influence.
me an example.
Well, there could be many people, and actually, a lot of people that we are writing about. Take, for example, Kabir. In his own times, I don't think people thought that Kabir was very great. But people who may have interacted with him, and I can talk about, let's say, my own father. He was an ordinary, very ordinary person. But I believe, and so do many people who came in contact with him, that they have real qualities of, after all, it's very different to be human. And again, pardon me for going back to my literary roots. So, what I wanted to say was that while that book was about ordinary people who are great, this book is about ordinary places which are powerful. And that is what the story from Pakistan, that he is standing in front of the Kaaba, which is so popular, so powerful, everybody believes in the Kaaba. But he says, नहीं नहीं मेरे लिए दुआ दाता गंजे शक्कर से करिए, वो हमारा local deity है, उसमें हमको विश्वास है. So, what I always thought of when we were writing this book, and whenever we have gone through these experiences, Jyoti, there is a 6-line poem which Wordsworth. I think people in the second standard have read it. People who have done post-graduation have read it. People have written theses on this little poem called The Rainbow. My heart leaps when I behold a rainbow in the sky. So was it when life began. So was it when I was a man. So be it when I am old or let me die. But the last line, and I could wish my days to be bound. The child is the father of the man, and I could wish my days to be bound each to each by natural piety. ये natural piety क्या चीज होती है? What is natural piety? And what I believe is that these people who we call ordinary and who have elements of greatness in them, they are full of natural piety. This is the ability to connect yourself with the elements, with the surroundings, with goodness in life. And this natural piety is what brings out, it actually brought out in us these feelings whenever we went to these places. And in the process of writing this book, this is what we experienced, that this natural piety is something which can unite and harmonize our societies.
So, Naval, I love the fact that your name is Naval, first of all. And
I'm not responsible for that. It's my mother.
yeah, but I mean, you kept it, you know. So, but what I love about, one of the things that, in fact, you quote this phrase from Albert Einstein, which is it's sort of so evocative, right? Which is that, you go through life doing two things, and maybe I should just read from it. But one is that you look at things that are miracles, and the other is you treat life, everyday life, as a miracle. So what does this mean to you? Why did you pick this quote, and what is it about it that means so much to you?
So, see, my take on this is that, let's say, why I said doing the Amarnath Yatra the first time, Those were peak days of terrorism, and I just happened to be in Jammu for a training, and then I chose to go. I was just there, it just happened, and I went for this yatra. And when you see the mass of humanity who are moving, day and night in that cold weather, and when we used to go for treks, we had new shoes, jackets, backpacks, we had porters to carry our stuff, then 7 days ration instead of 5 days, those type of things. And these people are just going and moving along. And I mean, what is it that's taking them there? So,
What do you think it is?
now everyone else will understand it differently. It's the
you
faith.
understand?
It's the faith. I mean, there's something in it beyond. Faith is a word we call it. It's a miracle or whatever. It's the place which people we've started associated the place with that, or it's whatever. It's something beyond, as Richa said, what the physicists call the other particle, or whatever it is. Or see, like we all went to Chordha to this very, very treacherous trek, and there we find there were so many people, so we had no place to sleep. And we begged the Baba. We had children of all ages. We used to go as a group, as families. We used to all do these treks. So we had that day, we were about 20 people, and we had to beg people for blankets. And we had 8 blankets. And the whole night, we were covering each other. Isko thanda lage, 3 people in 1 blanket and all. So those are the moments which make you feel, the minimalistic. How minimalistic you can be, and you can be so happy, and what an experience it is.
And also the interdependence, of life. Right?
And every season you see, every time you go to the same place, different seasons you see different flowers, the rain. Now I'm not scared of thunder and rain or night. I'm more scared of being alone in the home than in being in the outdoors. Yeah, actually cities I feel are more unsafe than being outdoors, because having experienced what nature gives to you, I mean, it's a natural thing, the rain is falling naturally to you. But when you're having a shower, you may get very hot water or very cold water, that type of thing. So, I mean, that's my take.
Yeah. So, this interdependence that I was asking you about. Now, the book is about a lot of faiths. It's Hinduism, it's Sikhism, it's Buddhism. So how did you sort of organize this book, if you like?
This labor of love has been done by Ashok, so I give it to him.
The bureaucratic mindset, the structure, everything. But before I tell you about the structure of the book, on the miracle part, in 1982, when we were under trainees, we went to a monastery in Arunachal Pradesh. She was not there, but we as a group of IAS officers in Tawang in Arunachal. तो वो monastery में एक बहुत ऊंची बुद्ध की प्रतिमा है, sitting posture, and you can go up different levels of the monastery, and you are exposed to different parts of Buddha's sitting posture. When you climb to the highest story in the monastery, this guy who was taking us around, he was telling us very fascinating stories, miracles, ये वो. तो he said कि यहाँ आप देखिए कि बुद्ध के नेत्र जो है वो सामने देख रहे हैं, और सामने दीवार में एक छेद है, और जो लोग मर जाते हैं बिना प्रायश्चित किए, उनकी आत्मा भटकती रहती है इधर उधर, और फिर वो किसी दिन इस छेद से उनको बुद्ध के दर्शन हो जाते हैं और उनको मोक्ष प्राप्त हो जाता है. This is a fascinating story. So I stayed behind, and there was a little boy, 18-20 years old. I asked him, क्या है ये छेद? He said कि सर 6 महीने पहले रिपेयर हुए थे तो बल्ली गाड़ने के लिए छेद बनाया था. So anyway, but about the structure of the book.
But what's the moral of that story?
The moral of the story is that don't believe everything that is being said. And even these stories which are narrated, as Richa had mentioned, they're part of the oral tradition. Nobody knows whether these things happened or not. But if you believe, you believe. And if it gives you strength, that belief gives you strength. That is the source of sustenance for you. That is the source of tasalli. जिंदगी में तसल्ली किस चीज से मिलती है? तो ये बात. Coming to the more mundane things about how this book got structured, तो अगर इसमें आप देखेंगे, the book is divided into 4 parts. One is history, past and future. So you actually go to places. Harbhajan Singh Baba. Some of you might have seen that place in near Nathula or Jaswantgarh in Arunachal Pradesh. These were people living in flesh and blood 50, 60, 70 years back. They are no more. There are stories built around their persona and their sacrifice and their deeds of valor. And interestingly, Jaswantgarh in Arunachal Pradesh is dedicated to this soldier of the Indian Army who's supposed to have fought single-handedly against the Chinese in the 1962 war. And this is all chronicled by the army. Books have been written on him. Interestingly, the Indian Army has one version. The locals have another version of the story. They have introduced 2 women, local women, Mopa tribe women, in that story. Very fascinating. The Chinese also have their own version. But the thing is that even the Chinese, they honored this man. And actually they made a bust of this soldier and give it. Right? So they acknowledge. And these are the type of people in 100, 200, 300, 500 years, you don't know what status they will achieve. So history, past and future. The second is spiritual masters like Kabir or God, Guru Nanak, people who again existed in history. But they are not known so much as religious persons, but as spiritual leaders. And then the third part of this book is about mythology. Nobody knows whether these things happened. Scientifically, people are still struggling to find out whether these places actually existed, these characters existed, but the stories are amazing, absolutely. And interestingly, you find similar stories. In Uttarakhand, you will find them in Goa, you will find them in Diu, you will find them in West Bengal, all of them speaking about the same people, the same incidents, and connecting themselves to those characters. And the fourth, which for both of us matters the most, is nature. Because ultimately, we feel that nature is something which is palpable. But nature has a force which all of us can't see. And we feel that that is something which really makes a person feel that you are a very, very insignificant part of this cosmos. And there are forces which are governing your life. You may understand them, you may not understand them, you may see them, you may not see them, but they are there, and if you acknowledge, you are a better friend.
So I'm going to ask one question and then we'll open it up to the house. Now, implicit in this book of yours is, the seeking or this discovery or the yearning or the travel to all these places, and whether or not you're trying to look for a connection, but you find these connections, all over the place. But implicit in this is this sort of distinction between faith and religion. So if you'd like to talk about that, why are you emphasizing faith over religion?
Religion is the difference between education and life skills. Religion is what is taught and which is structured, and spiritualism is what we experience. And this is the journey in this, our journey through connect with humanity, the mass of human beings, I mean, I'm putting it very crudely, like mass of human beings, and actually each and every person who touches our lives, what they give to us in life, and nature. I feel it's the connect with nature which gives you spiritualism. You have to, again coming back to physicists, I think the metaphysical world and the metaphysical world is going to merge through science. I don't know if I'm able to.
So, uh, let me recall a very popular Hindi song. I think Sahir was the one who wrote this for a movie called Chitralekha. ये पाप है क्या और पुण्य क्या है क्या, रीतों पर धर्म की मोहरें हैं, युग युग में बदलते धर्मों को कैसे आदर्श बनाओगे. So religion is something which may change. What is your belief system, which is based on a religious order, is something that I don't understand, and we are not talking about this. But faith is something which goes beyond. And you see, let's say there are two valleys. One is the valley of experience, and the other is the valley of expression. The two necessarily don't connect. There are a lot of things which you experience which you are not able to articulate. And that famous Qawwal from Pakistan, Farid Ayaz, he explains it beautifully. He says, महसूस करता हूँ, समझता हूँ, समझाना नहीं है. तो ये जो फीलिंग है, where you understand, और what Gulzar said, सिर्फ एहसास है, ये रूह से महसूस करो. नाम देने की क्या जरूरत है? So these moments, when you reach that level of feeling, where you feel totally uplifted, but you can't express to anyone. You can't convince somebody that this is what I feel. And in a way, Jyoti, these mountain passes, जो पहाड़ों में होते हैं, एक वैली से दूसरी वैली से जाने के लिए एक पास से आपको गुजरना पड़ता है. यही अनुभव और अभिव्यक्ति के बीच में कई ट्रांजिशन है. आप उसको अटेन कर सकते हैं तो अलग चीज है, नहीं अटेन कर सकते तो कोई बात नहीं. I have experience, I can't explain. So I think the difference that you are trying to find out about religion and spiritualism or faith, this is what we understood faith is. It has no logic. What Richa said, does it have a structure? No, faith has no logic. You can't explain to anyone कि भाई क्यों मैं इस चीज में विश्वास करता हूँ, लेकिन करते हो, वो आपको शक्ति देती है, वो चीज वो आपको सांत्वना देती है, तो वो आप उसमें विश्वास करते हो. जो डूबा सो पार.
Can I just also see? It's also like how do we explain that shepherd discovered Amarnath cave? I mean, what did he discover? What was there to discover? And as I've compared the photographs of stalactite formation in the Zanskar, in the Chadar trek, and the Amarnath Yatra. So, but there is something that which he brought, what he imagined and what he brought to the people, and people start believing in it. And the porter who took stuff when we were trekking, he said, "Baba ko mera salam dena." So, everyone believes in something or the other for a different reason, and that is all faith. What is about faith? Acha, then I will also share another interesting story. When we had gone to Tapovan beyond Gomukh, we stayed there for 3 days, and this fascinating lady that I talked about, she had run away from home. She is from ODP, and she spent her life with sadhus and with nomads and marasis and all that. and finally reached Hardwar and then Rishikesh. And then she told those Babas that I want to stay in Tapovan. So one of the Babas, Lal Baba, who I used to stay in Chirpasa 6 months, and 6 months he would beg for alms and then serve the people who visited there. He said, you go there, I'll provide you with whatever you want. She lived there for a few years, and whoever travelers came, she served them coffee and halwa or khichdi, whatever was being. When we went, she said कि आज तुम हमारे यहाँ खाना खाना. तो I said कि नहीं, हमको खाना नहीं, हमारा अपना टेंट पे इंतजाम है. She said नहीं, मैं तुम्हारे साथ बच्चा आया है, मैं तुम्हारे लिए आलू का परोठा बनाएगा. And then she served us. She's been staying there. She knew the scriptures by heart, because even though she was illiterate, but because she had spent her life with the sadhus and all, she knew all the scriptures. She spent the winters without knowing day and night, because her cave would be covered with snow. She said, I would scrap the window with my danda to see whether it's daylight or not. And then when we came back, we told the story to my mother and at home, and my mother was very fascinated. And she couldn't trek and go up there. But once she went, my parents were visiting Badrinath, and they couldn't stay at Badrinath because of the altitude. They had to come down to Uttarkashi. So my mother just inquired, कि वो माता जी एक ऊपर रहती हैं, तपोवन में वो हैं, how is she and all. They said, पता नहीं हमको तो, but there's a lady who lives in Uttarkashi. So my mother went and met her. So it's like actually when Muhammad, mountain comes to Muhammad if Muhammad doesn't go. So it's an experience we have had in our own life. So this is all.
Okay, so I'm going to open this up to the house. If anybody has a question, would you like to say who you are?
Yeah.
You can just speak. Okay.
Thank you. I feel that you
Would you like to say who you are, so everybody
This is N.K. Srivastava. I am basically an engineer, but into Chandigarh Literary Society, and been doing a lot of writing courses also. Apart from that, I have been a traveler like them also, from land of rising sun, Japan, to land of midnight sun, Alaska, and all, most of the countries, 39 countries. This is what small narration is all about. The Pandora box which you are, I was just trying to refer, because so many spheres you have now. I've seen sitting Buddha, lying Buddha, and even sleeping Buddha in different forms and narratives. My question is that because one experience I would like to share here. While I was in Ajmer, I went to this Ajmer Sharif.
So I'm so sorry. I think we really don't have much time. So
the stories are slightly relevant.
I know, but we really will need a question.
My question is that whether you believe that divine power is more important, or is the faith?
Divine power of faith.
Well, if by divine power you mean something which is beyond human control, if that is the meaning, yes, I think there are forces which are beyond human comprehension, which are beyond human control. Those forces matter a lot in life, and I think they influence not only individuals' destiny, but they also influence events. And I don't think it is necessary, at least I don't think that it is necessary for us to know everything. Why should you know everything? है जिंदगी में चीजें चलती रहती है, तो है. According to me, I don't call it. I mean, you can call it whatever you want. But by the way, I am an agnostic, right? I don't believe in God, right? I don't know whether agnostics believe in God. Agnostics also don't believe in God. But, so this, as I said, this is not about, you can call that power whatever you want to call. It's your choice. But if you have faith in something which is beyond you, then I think it can really connect you to life, and it can give you a lot of force to exist. If you permit, I'll leave one question with all of you. मुझे अभी मैं दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में किसी कॉलेज में कुछ बोलने गया था, तो वहाँ पर क्या हुआ कि question answer session like this. At the end of the session, when I walked out, one student came. He said, "Sir, अंदर मैं पूछ नहीं पाया, मैं झिझक रहा था. आपने इतना कुछ हासिल किया जिंदगी में, तो आप इतने हम्बल कैसे हो?" I said, यार इसका मैं क्या जवाब दे सकता हूँ? तो मैंने उसको कहा कि अच्छे इंसान बनो. So then he asked me कि सर वो कैसे बनते? मुझे नहीं पता कैसे. I don't know. Is there a formula for becoming a good human being? लेकिन हाँ, in this book there is a little story towards the end, which is about when Bhim was going in search for that Kamal which Draupadi wanted. और उन्होंने देखा रास्ते में कि एक बूढ़ा सा बंदर बैठा हुआ है, तो ये क्या बैठे हो, मेरा रास्ता रोक के पूछ रहा हो. बंदर ने कहा कि भाई तुम हटा दो, मैं तो बूढ़ा हूँ. And he tried all his might, couldn't. It was Hanuman. And when, so what we are saying is, the moment your ego disappears, आपका अहम जब खत्म हो जाएगा, तब आपकी जिंदगी की शुरुआत होगी, तब आप कुछ हासिल कर सकते हैं. अदरवाइज तो आप अपने भंवर भवंडर में फंसे रहेंगे.
No, I'll ask you, would you like to sit down right now? Yeah, the gentleman next to you. Go ahead.
So I am Deepak Singh, everyone, and congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Lavasa. I just got a very simple question. I was looking at the image that you chosen for the front page of the book. It's very intriguing. Could you just kind of explain what is the meaning behind this image? It looks like a flower, but still very intriguing. So I just want the image that is chosen. Maybe there is some other connotation.
ये तो
You can give us the mic back.
मतलब मुझे तो पीपल का पत्ता लगता है, आपको बताया. ये तो नहीं था सवाल.
Okay, but we're going to ask, we're going to get two more questions. Both women, please. Come on. No, you're an IS officer, you don't come. Okay, sorry. That was a joke. Good.
My questions are to both of you, of course, is like, I think obviously you visited a lot of places, like pilgrimage places, and I think maybe you didn't go for only religious reasons, you went mostly for the scenic beauty. So the kind of experiences you have covered here, but the topic which is echoes of faith. So I want to know that have you covered some other places, or did you in your travels come across such places which are not frequented as pilgrimage spots? And have you covered those, like, you know, as a guide, like people like us who are not so religious, we could visit those places?
He's not religious at all.
So see, as I said, we are basically travelers and adventure seekers. So we actually went to these places as just normal travelers, I would say. But you find that faith is interwoven in life. It's like when you do a trek, like any trek, and you are finding it difficult to walk. When you, I'll give you an example of Harki-Doon. Harki-Doon is a very supposed to be a beginner's trek where a lot of school students from Dehradun and Mussoorie go and all. And there we found these, again, as you know, we go with all equipment and food and water and drinks and, you know, people carrying our stuff and woolen jackets, caps, sunscreens and all. We found two people who were Bengali gentlemen, because no regional bias here, but they are real adventure seekers. They had no food on them, nothing, and they were having diarrhea. They were like I say, you're going to die, if you do this. And then we gave them food, we told them you must have water, you can't, you'll be dehydrated and all. So it's like, but then Harkidun also has his places where they are associated with faith. Like the passes that you cross. Wherever you go, you will find one is driving passes. There you find the drivers will stop and throw a penny at one of the chota sa shrine or a flag there. So this is our culture that people associate those things with faith. That please God of this pass, this mountain, high mountain, dangerous road I'm driving, please let me reach safe. So faith, this is faith, and having it associated with religion is a different thing. Which is again, I think as mythology, we all believe who are not deeply religious, that mythology is stories which teach us about life. The good and the bad and how to be or not to be, or to be ideal king was Ram, but Krishna was the Samdam Dandabed administrator, and Kauravas and Pandavas, why did they kill their king? These type of stories. So,
Okay, go ahead, young man.
Thank you, ma'am. I am Uday Pratap Singh, a student of law from Department of Law SPU, and I wanted to ask, sir, from a perspective of younger generation to which I belong, that ma'am has rightfully said that it is very dangerous to live in a house, then going outside in a very dangerous environment. And I wanted to ask that in this age and era, where we are stuck in a cage of screens, where we are not socializing, we are not going outside, we are not connecting with nature, my generation specifically, how do we reignite the faith that we have lost? Because my generation has any faith in anything other than their own ability, which I think is quite dangerous.
You are in the middle of, neither a small child nor an adult with a family and children. Okay, so my take on this is that how we spent our childhood. We were outdoors most of the time, playing outdoor sport, doing gardening, or going out for picnics, bathing in rivers. Like Ganga mein nahana ya sea mein nahana. Now I find when I go to the beach and we have young people with us, we tell them कि आप भी नहाओ हमारे साथ. They say कि नहीं हमको swimming नहीं आती. People who live on the coast don't know swimming. Like it really pains me, So this is like we as the older generation have to encourage youngsters to go out and play and maybe incentivize them. कि ये करोगे तो आपको screen time मिलेगा, ये करोगे, something like that. And you'll find that younger generation is more, a section of younger generation is more outdoors. That is why you try to book treks, you try to book travel, whatever, like you were asking where we can go. They're all full and there's so much options. In our times we didn't have options and we had to just go by word of mouth, or because the group was going, we would all go along. So you have to spend time outdoors traveling. Traveling teaches you to come out of your comfort zone, come out of your internet and from the virtual reality and see what reality is. Just look at the sun and moon also, the stars.
Ashok, would you like to say something? Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
As a woman to a woman, novel absolutely inspiring. My question is, as a mother, how did you manage the children with all these travels and all these adventures? And I would love to know the story.
It's not just about the woman, it's about the man too. Your husband
Yes,
would have looked after the kids.
That is. Let's find out what the secret is.
Yes.
I would love to
So Ashok looked after the kids when Naval went.
Well, let's find out.
Yes, both. One is, I always say he's the mother of the family and the father. Because he's the softer one. I would decide that they would have to go for this course or this, and he was the one who was the softer one. कि नहीं बच्चों को ये खाना है, ये करना है, ऐसे सब कि they shouldn't get hurt and things. And he was working very hard. The Chandigarh years are the golden years from this aspect. Because, and I would say, people who live in Chandigarh, please make use of proximity to the hills and all. And I would take the children along. And Mr. Verma has written some pieces, he really appreciated that novel doesn't bother about बच्चे ने खाना खाया या बच्चे ने toilet गया कि नहीं, just bundle them and take them wherever.
May I just add in the end? I hope lots of men here are taking inspiration from you. Okay. Okay.
Not a question, ma'am, just expressing my gratitude to Sri Light. We are very proud that Ashok sir is from our school, King George School, Belgaum, Military School, Belgaum, and we are proud not because he is an IAS officer. We are proud because he has the strength to speak up. And that is the message that we all, as young children are here, and now elders, get that if you strongly feel about something, and if you express it, then you are killing your soul.
Yes, go ahead. Why don't you give the gentleman a mic?
Ashok, faith is obviously beyond any logic.
So you have to put the mic closer.
It's beyond logic. Faith is an issue, a concept.
Yeah.
This is beyond any logic.
Yeah.
Clear? So I'm not contesting that part. But I'm talking of change. I have been to Kedarnath thrice. First I went there in 54 years ago. You have to go from Chetri to Chetri. Walking. Last station where bus could go at that time was Guptakashi. Beyond that, you have to walk down the village. You had to stay for the night in Chetri, eat whatever was available in Chetri, and keep on moving. Why shall we have done that? My grandmother traveled to Kedarnath. And in those days, when you traveled to those places, you did your own shraddha yourself before you started. That was the custom. She never came back. It was faith which moved them, and they went there. Now, 70 when I went there and walked all the way, the Samadhi of Shankaracharya was simply a small rock lying around Kedarnath temple. Some grass growing down, that was Shankaracharya. It was not natural, there was no construction. Mandakini flowed through the Brahma-like space from that lake and went on becoming bigger and bigger. You have to be on your own. Somehow manage the things with whatever was available, survive, and keep on moving. Next time I went there was in 92. You could go, drive up to, what is that Prayag? Is it last Prayag? So from where you walk up Kedarnath. Sonprayag. Sonprayag where Mandakini meets here. The Sonprayag. So you could drive up to Sonprayag and then walk up. The path had become easier. There was much larger number of travelers, and Baba Kali Kamniwala Ashram had built its Dharamsala and other facilities there, so it was not very difficult. You could go. 2 years ago, I again happened to go there. Sonprayag now has 8-story, multi-story parking lots. Kedarnath, Shankaracharya Samadhi has become what you showed. A wall of granite, I think. That is Shankaracharya. People go by helicopter now. Just drop there, have darshan of Kedarnath and come back. So the element of faith has continuously changed from one point to the other. And now it has become totally commercialized. You pay, you do the darshana, and you come back. No physical effort is required, no contact, no physical effort is required, no contact with nature is required. You just fly straight away to Kedarnath, have your darshan, and come back.
So, sir, this is religion. This is, you're going because you are religious and you want to go and have darshan there. But otherwise, if there's a faith.
If faith has its own context and time, you do so much when you walk all the way. That's where faith is debated. And when you go simply as a commercial traveler and go to Kedarnath and come back, that faith is totally different.
So I'm going to have to wind this up now. Thank you very much for your observations. Thank you. So I need to wind this up now because I really need to close this. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, authors. Thank you, Jyoti ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, and thank you all. I really want to, thank all of you. You have been an absolutely fantastic audience. I want to thank the CLS team, Rupa Publication, our authors, our distinguished guests, and our most wonderful audience here. Thank you very much. And my last message here is, buy the book, read the Tribune.